Can you guys hear me now? I think you guys can hear me now. I just put a headset on, so and I do see my avatar moving. Hey, loungers! I hope everybody is doing as great as I am this morning. Okay, listen, guys, we are going to get into this Diddy bullshit with Jay Z and his attorney Shapiro. But I think I wanted to spend a lot more time on this. I do have some things I wanted to show you guys. Okay, great, thank you, Ray. I did have some things I wanted to show you guys in regards to this. I still want to show you guys some stuff of this, but I will tell you that yesterday or last night, I became aware of this Larry Reid situation with TD Jakes. Okay. So because I have covered that already, I most definitely wanted to cover that again today. So I have a copy of the lawsuit and what's being said in there. And I'm going to go over some of that paperwork with you guys today. It is 129 pages. So obviously, I will not be looking at every single one of those pages and reading all those pages, but I definitely wanted to read to you guys some of the meat of this lawsuit and what's going on with this, so that you guys are fully aware of what, in fact, is happening with this situation. Because, child, this is a hot mess. Okay, I had no idea what Larry Reid was thinking at the time when he started bringing this pedophile of his, this male pedophile of his, over to his show to talk about TD Jakes, but that was not a good look. Okay, so we are definitely going to get into these two today, but we are also going to talk a little bit about Puffy, Diddy, and Diddy, Jay Z, and Alex Spiro. Okay, which has been out here saying some crazy stuff. So y'all make sure y'all do hit the like button on the way in. Triggs, I do appreciate you being in the building. KKC, definitely appreciate you as well. I also appreciate you, Chat Lives Matter, for being in the building. And I do have the sound together now, it looks like. So shout out to you. YouTube Unfolded, definitely appreciate you for being in the building. And everybody else that is in the clouds, again, make sure you guys do hit the like button on the way in. And let's go ahead and get started, guys. When I first heard about this guy, Alex Spiro, going into this press conference to have this discussion with all the press in regards to Jay Z, I was completely flabbergasted. Okay, I mean, it just seems like he's trying too hard. As an attorney, you'd want to kind of get your client off and get your client through a situation, as opposed to just constantly piling on, piling on, piling on, because at some point that's when you begin to make a lot of mistakes, right? So here's the problem with him. I think that he should focus more on remaining silent and not always trying to find an opportunity to speak up on a situation. I get it. I know that he's trying his best to get ahead of this situation, to try to separate Jay-Z from Diddy as much as he can. But notice that no other celebrities are doing that, right? I mean, there have been celebrities to the likes of Ashton Kutcher, um, who else? Leonardo DiCaprio. These are just, to name a few people that have been around the likes of Diddy. We've got J Lo. We've got all kinds of people that have had interconnections with Diddy at many times, and have been seen photographed with him many times. But not one of their attorneys are coming forward and trying to force this narrative that he doesn't know these people, or that they don't know him, because that is simply not true. Okay, now here's the problem with this situation. He didn't say that they don't know each other. What he said was, and I was actually planning on playing that for you, but for the sake of time, we're not going to go over that. I'm just going to tell you what he said, and you guys can go back and take a look for yourself, because it's all over the internet. What this guy said is that Diddy and Jay-Z have only been professionally friendly with each other over these past few years. Okay, over the past 30 years or so, that they've not really been friends, and that they would be considered, quote unquote, colleagues, right? Like professional colleagues. Okay, so like he made it to the reporter who was asking questions. He was saying like, hey, Don't you have, colleagues at work, and that people at your job? That doesn't mean that you're friends with them, which is very true, right? Most of us can say, if we work somewhere or, whatever we're doing, we're not friends, we're not necessarily friends with everybody that we work with, but they would be more considered coworkers or whatever the case may be. Okay. Well, child, listen, what we not going to do is play those mental mind games with each other over Diddy and Jay-Z. And what I'm going to do is show you guys some pictures of them, because what I found really really funny is that, and I was looking, and I did a little bit more research on this just to kind of see, before I actually spoke on it. But what I wanted to do was look and see how many pictures I have seen personally of Jay Z with his own wife or with his own children, as opposed to Jay Z with Diddy. Okay. And I can honestly say that I have not seen personally more photos of Jay Z with Beyonce, or Jay Z with the children, especially with the kids, than I've seen of Jay Z hanging out with Diddy in multiple places. Okay. And shout out to Getty Images, because Getty Images is exactly where this evidence is. Okay. And there's a lot more of these images too. But I'm just going to give you guys some examples of these today. So let me go ahead and present my screen. And I will give you a link to this as well, so that you guys can take a look for yourselves and kind of see exactly what's going on with this situation. Okay. But let me go ahead and share this with you guys first, because I found this to be hilarious. Okay. And let me go ahead and remove my banner so you guys can kind of see for yourselves. Now, I have been able to pull up on Getty Images over 1,007 Jay Z photos and Diddy photos together. Okay. There is about 19 pages just on Getty Images alone of these two guys at multiple locations. Okay, so this one right here is the 2019 Rock Nation, the brunch. Okay, we all know that Rock Nation is with Jay Z, so this would be his particular location. Okay, right here we have the pre-Grammy Gala for Jay Z and him. We have the 2020 Rock Nation brunch right here. Okay. We have here the 2018 Rock Nation brunch. So at least 3 years in a row, these guys were seen together at the Rock Nation brunch. Okay. Just at least three. And I know there's more. And then we have the Sprite Presents Jay Z, Jay Z Carter, and LeBron James. Okay. This is another event that they were at, and you can tell kind of even how they look, based off of Jay-Z's hair, so forth and so on, how he looked back then as opposed to what he looks like now. You can tell the difference in how long, these two have been kind of hanging out. We have an old school picture here of Sean with the Zach Posen CFDA after party. Okay, and Beyonce is there in that photo there. We have a picture of young Jay Z and young Diddy at a 4th of July party. Okay, this was one of Diddy's 4th of July parties that happened to have Aaliyah and so forth attending this party as well. And you guys will see those pictures in just a moment. Right here is kind of the same photo from here. And then we have another image right here of a celebrity sighting in New York City on August 28th, 2016. Here you see Beyonce behind her man. All the men are seated at the table. But you've got Beyonce, you've got Diddy, you've got Jay-Z, you've got Kanye West in the picture, Kim Kardashian is in the picture, you've even got Cassie in this picture, right? There's a lot of people, in this picture, but this is just in 2016. Again, these people are getting drunk, they hanging out. It don't look like they're just professional colleagues to me, right? It looks like they hanging out with each other. They're making it a point to be at events together, to be sitting together at these events and so forth and so on. Now, they could be just doing business, but I think it's a hell of a lot more, especially if you do but so much business with somebody. Eventually, it becomes more of a friendship. Okay. We have here the Def Jam Island Records Party, which was years ago. Okay. And here we are with these two again. We have them at the 2017 Rock Nation pregame pre-Grammy show. So here we go right here with them in 2017. We have the 18 picture, we have the 19 picture, and we have the 20 picture. So at least 3 to 4 years of time they were spending around the same time together. They're even dressing in pretty much kind of the same colors, looking color coordinated in a lot of these pictures as well. Okay, so just wanted to bring that out. Here's another image of them at the Def Jam Records party, okay, with them too. And notice how, like, as we go through these pictures, that if you're just colleagues with somebody at work, you might take one image with that person and then go on or whatever. But to take multiple images with them all night long at this gala, absolutely it would be weird if you're not actual friends, right? I'm not sure why other people wouldn't be in the photos or so forth and so on. I'm not talking about people that's just around them for the second, like Memphis Bleak or whatever, which is in this photo. But we're talking about these two hanging out together all the time, right? So let's look some more. We've got that's another image of them there. We have another image of them there, okay? And then we have them at the DJ Khaled when he was honored with the Hollywood Star on the Walk of Fame. Okay, we'll see another few pictures of those in a few minutes too. Okay. Right here we have Sean Combs at his 50th birthday bash that was presented by Ciroc. Okay. And you see who's in these photos, right? We've got Jay-Z right here standing by his mans, okay? We got Jay-Z and launching his limited edition whatever he was launching at the moment. But here he is with Sean Combs, okay? Here we go again with them two at the 2019 Rock Nation brunch, where him and Diddy were making the all-seeing eye photo and doing all that stuff together. But here they are in another image together, as they were kind of like walking in almost damn near hand in hand up here. Here they are down here. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of hanging out in another angle of the party. We got here the 2020 Rock Nation brunch, and you guys can go and check out this video. There's a video of this on YouTube. You can look at it. There's all kinds of celebrities there. Beyonce was at that party. There's so many people, but there was a lot of stuff that was said at that party, and I might even pull it up just to show you guys how close to Diddy Jay-Z was standing. Right, he was literally shoulder to shoulder with this man. And like I said, if this is just your colleague, not sure why you're always with this guy, right? This is a very old school picture of him, of the two of them at the New York City Hip Hop Summit. And so this is something very old school, as you can tell. This one right here is also kind of old. It's another Sean Diddy Combs birthday party. Obviously, this is not the same birthday party as the 50th birthday party, which was here. Here's a whole nother birthday party of Jay-Z, I mean, of Sean John. Okay. Here's another. Well, this is the same picture. So here, right here, is Puffy's 4th of July birthday party with multiple people, including Hype Williams, Josh Takeman. We've got all kinds of people in this picture, but Jay Z and Aaliyah are in this picture as well. Puffy's in this picture as well, and this is a very intimate, old school picture from one of Puffy's 4th of July, one of his parties. Okay. Here is the 50th birthday party where these two are seen being quite intimate, laughing and kikiing together and toasting it up, and just having a great time. We see them in another angle at this same picture with Beyonce, where Beyonce is kind of like getting out of the way so that Sean can touch Sean, like it's just kind of crazy how that is. So, I think you guys are getting the point, right? But we're going to go through a couple of more of these because, like I said, this guy is trying to brainwash and kind of gaslight the people right now and saying that Jay-Z is really not that close to Puffy, right? When he has been one of his closest friends for many, many years. We're talking 30 plus years, okay? Aaliyah died a long time ago, okay? She died a long time ago. And for her to be in photos like this, where they're hanging out, it's obvious how long their friendship goes back, right? We've got the two of them sitting together in a picture at an absolute white party that Puffy had in 2003, where Andre Harrell, rest in peace to him, was there. Russell Simmons is there, right? Where he's over in Bali now, right? We've got all kinds of people in this picture, but here goes Jay Z and Sean Diddy Combs sitting next to each other. And they right on top of each other, you know? We got them again at a New York City chapter event. Right here, we've got the two of them. We've got the two of them together at celebrities ringside at Floyd Mayweather fight, okay, versus Arturo. And even Puffy's on the phone. Jay Z over here rubbing his eye, and Beyonce giving him that husbandly, wifely look, right? But they're right here. They're right next to each other, right? Here they are again, toasting it up again on the 2018 Rock Nation brunch, right? Where we saw them a little earlier when we were looking at them hanging out at the Rock Nation brunch, where they were hanging out in this corner together, right? They had a different drink. Now they got a whole new drink, right? And they all hanging out, toasting it up together again, right? Here they are again at the Universal Music Group's Grammy reception, right? Here they are at the NBA All-Star game, right? Like these are things that these two do not have to attend together, but yet they're always in attendance with one another, right? With every single situation. We've got them right here at the DJ Khaled when he was honored with the Hollywood Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Here they are, they got a photo together. Okay? Like I mean they're actually sitting together at the event, right? If they were just colleagues or whatever, like everybody else that's there, right? Like everyone else in Hollywood, everyone else around. I mean, I'm not sure why they had to sit together, right? Unless they were friends and they planned this ahead of time, right? Then we've got them at the pre-Grammy gala right here, and also right here. So these are two separate images of them, right, on the same night. But yet they're, taking all these photos together. Here's another photo of them at the 2020 Rock Nation brunch, right? Where they're taking yet another toast together, okay, with Jay Z in that pink ass suit, okay? We've got the Cherry Coke features new can design, okay? Here they are right here together at this event too. This event was interesting. This was one where Puff Daddy and the Family Bad Boy reunion tour, okay? Now, of course, that could be business, but again, these guys are always together, always. Okay, we've got him again at the birthday party for Diddy. This is the Olympus Fashion Show right here, so the both of them are hanging out. You see, Diddy got on his his suit and he's all clean and stuff, and Jay Z got on his Brooklyn gear. Okay. We've got them again together at the 2019 Rock Nation brunch, right? Here's that other picture of them again. Here's the two of them giving each other a hug at the 50th birthday party. And Jay Z looked real happy. And so does Diddy look very, very smiley and snarky while they're hugging one another, okay? Rest in peace to Aaliyah. We've got him with Puffy in here, with Aaliyah, with Damon Dash, right? At the Puffy's 4th of July party. We've got the two of them hanging out again at the white party, right? Just so intimately with their shoulders all connected and they just right up on each other, right? Right here at the Def Jam Island Records party again, right? We got them at the Jay-Z's Roller Bash CD release party. Okay, so that's a whole nother party from back in the day, okay, that they're together at. Here they are at the Promote the Vote block party for Obama, okay, when Obama was going into office, okay, and this is what they did together. Okay, we got Jay-Z right here, we got Diddy right here. We'll see another image of that in just a minute. This is when Jay-Z launches his limited edition Audemars, okay. Here they are. He's showing him something in that picture right there, okay. Let's go on to the next page, and then I think you guys will get the point after this. But we've got more pictures. We've got the Robin Thicke Something Else album release party. Here they go together. Okay. We've got them at Sean Combs' 50th birthday bash right here again. Okay. We've got them at the Royal Birthday Ball. for Sean Diddy Combs. This is a whole nother birthday party, okay, that he was at for Sean Diddy Combs. Everybody looking all spiffy, okay? We've got them together at this is the 50th birthday. This is the 2004 NBA All Stars, right? This event right here was the Scream Fest of '07, where Diddy was found on stage slapping Jay-Z on the ass. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure how much, clearer it gets that this is my nigga than that, right? Like, a guy is up here smacking this guy on the ass. He wasn't doing this to anybody else on stage. We got 50 up there. We had the likes of, of others up there, and he was not slapping any of them on the ass, but he damn sure was slapping Jay-Z, and he slapped him multiple times on that ass. Okay, here they are at the 4th of July party. This one is the Rock Nation brunch in 2019 again. You see the both of them hanging out together. We got them at the DJ Khaled being honored on the Walk of Fame. We got we got Jay-Z with Aaliyah, so you can see how old these photos are from the 4th of July party, right? And just how far back these two go. How Jay Z was in this picture. Diddy got his arm around him. He's got his arm around Dame. And Aaliyah's just kind of sitting in between all three of them. Right. Rest in peace to her. This again is the Scream Fest where he was smacking Jay Z in the ass. Right. Um, and these are just some examples of how many times you can run down on photos of these two guys together. This is another one at a celebrity all star game, right, where he's hanging out with Puffy and Beyonce's there, and and so forth and so on. Here's another celebrities attend the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. Here go Jay Z over here on his phone. There go Diddy. We've got who else was there? Chris Rock was right here in the corner. Okay. So there's a lot of pictures like this right here of these two in different positions doing various things, hanging out, talking to each other, collabing with one another, right? And being very, very close to one another. Okay. And then there's even more. And like I said, you can go through these yourself and take a look. You'll be surprised at some of these other images that you'll see. This is Usher's 26th birthday party at the Rainbow Room where the two of them are together, right? Here's another NBA All Star game in 2015. We've got him still with the DJ Khaled thing, where they took a picture with Fat Joe, and it's those two and Khaled. So there is endless pictures, but as y'all can see, there's multiple pictures, kind of spread in between of them with their families and different things, or with their wives and stuff like this. But there are more pictures of Puffy and Jay-Z together than there are of him with his wife, with Puffy with Cassie, with Puffy with his sons, right? There's more pictures of these two together. We've got the Last Chance for Change rally with Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs. And there was another really interesting one, which was one right here, which is the SOS, the BET Telethon Relief Show, where he and Diddy had posted $1 million check. And that's what that is, right? That's what this is right here. Um, and there's other pictures of them as well. So you guys can go ahead and take a look at this. You can Google that if you wanted to. But I definitely wanted to share that with you guys because I found it amazing that this guy, like I said, he wanted so hard to separate these men from one another and make it sound like, and really downplay their relationship with one another. But it's impossible to do that, knowing how many times that these guys have been, in fact, together and have been doing things, on a regular basis, even in business, even in personal, whatever the case may be. I mean, they're at each other's homes for these events. They're at very intimate events. It's not easy to get into these events like the Rock Nation brunch and stuff like this. This is not stuff that everybody just can get into. You kind of have to be a celebrity or somebody that knows somebody in order to get into these in order to get into these events. Very exclusive locations, and yeah, there's no way that, in passing, these two are just hanging out every now and then, right? Now I get it. This picture that I have up of them two kissing, right? That is parody, right? I'm pretty sure. Well, I hope it's parody anyway. At least it looks Photoshop. But at the same time, there is definitely multiple pictures of these guys, where they're actually hanging out with one another and they're actually, chilling and doing the most together. Okay. So I felt like that was a huge mistake on Jay-Z's attorney's part to be saying that about him, because now he's going to have to find a way to backpedal out of this once that stuff starts coming out, right? And if there are other victims or other people that start coming forward, which I can't say that 100% that there will be. I just have this very strong feeling that there will be. Okay. And hold on, guys. And so because of that very strong feeling that I have about that, I really think that it would behoove his attorney and it would behoove Jay-Z for his attorney not to jump the gun trying to clear this man's name as much as possible, but rather be much more quiet, much more strategic, kind of like Tony Busby has been doing in this situation, right? He actually said in particular he does not wish to speak on the relationship between these two, right? I think he's willing to hold that for later. But he's very, very confident. He seems quite confident in what he has in regards to this. He doesn't seem to be giving up. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation running around YouTube, running around NBC, and all these other places. But at the end of the day, if you really look at the true statements from Tony Busby, he's been very, very careful in what he says, okay, in regards to this stuff that has recently come out. And I think that's a really good move on his part, for the sake of these other victims that, do want to come forward and discuss what's going on with Puffy, who may want to tie Jay Z to some of these things. I think it would be very important for him not to be, jumping the gun and emotionally having conversations with the press, right? Whereas this guy is definitely coming from a space of emotion. Well, they're not even friends. This is just fiction, and there's nothing else to say about it. No, there's a lot to say about it now that you've said it. And you can't get past what the actual facts are in this situation. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick before I got into this Larry Reid stuff, because child, that situation that's going on with Larry is definitely something else. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to throw a quick timer up so that we can get right into that conversation, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Okay, guys, so I am going to be reading to you guys what has been going on with this TD Jakes situation, and I'm going to kind of catch you guys up to speed on that. I wanted, for the sake of time, I do have to work at 10 o'clock this morning, so for the sake of time, I really kind of wanted to get through this. I do apologize that I wasn't able to spend a little bit more time on that, but I definitely wanted to get into this. Let me go ahead and get into the comment section real quick, and then we will get right into it. Steph, you already know what to do with the trolls, so I appreciate you for that. Um, but I did speak to some of you already. Hey, LV, definitely appreciate you coming in the building. And I think you guys are just kind of speaking to each other. Let's see here. Um, Yep, you know what to do with the trolls, so they get no attention here, but they're definitely allowed to watch. Thank you for the watch time. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, definitely, you know what to do with the trolls because I don't play that. Hey, Happy Life, definitely appreciate you being in the building as well. Yeah, child. You said, and the problem with the vague, they were never friends, is that if this was a long-term image creation campaign, they can't say that without looking like total frauds. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And that is exactly where the huge mistake comes in with him, is that, at the end of the day, you're it's obvious that you don't want to present your client as a liar, right? So I'm not sure why you would want to, tell us that, they're not even friends and I don't know what you're talking about and so forth and so on. It's just nuts, right? But either way, let's go ahead and get right into these comments. Again, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. I want to make sure that I have the right one up because there is 126 pages to this lawsuit, and obviously, I am not going to get into all of that today. Okay, there are a lot of exhibits. There's like at least I know there's. Well, we'll look at them in just a second. But let me start with this one. I want to particularly pull the one that mentions Larry Reid Live's podcast because Jakes is not playing with these people at all. Okay, he is not playing at all with these people, and I don't understand what Larry was thinking when he did this. I really don't understand what his motive was or what he could have been possibly thinking when this happened. But it was just crazy that he would even go into it like this. But let me see if this is the one. Hold on one second. Because I was looking at all of this last night and I was shocked at what was happening here. Okay, so I am going to get into a little bit of this part too, because I kind of want you guys to get an understanding of what exactly has been going on with this situation. But he did, in fact, name Larry Reid as a second John Doe in this situation, because there is 10 total John Does that, along with Dwayne Youngblood, who has been mentioned in this case. Okay. So let me go ahead and start with that. I'm going to show you guys this screen first. Hold on. Okay. Let me present this so you guys can see it. And I'm going to remove the banner in just a moment. Bear with me, guys. But I definitely want to read some of this to you guys because, um, it's important that you get to see what's really going on. I pulled this directly from Pacer itself. Okay. So make sure that you guys, if you do want to take a look at it, you can ask me for a copy of it, or you can certainly take a look at it in Pacer as well. Let me also remove we'll change that background. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start with this because, again, as you guys can see, this is in the United States District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania, okay? And this is for Thomas Dexter Jakes, okay, versus Dwayne Youngblood. Now, for those of you who may not know, Dwayne Youngblood is this pedophile, okay, who was invited to Larry Reid Live show by Larry Reid to quote unquote interview on what he claimed was S assault from or inappropriate behavior from Bishop T.D. Jakes. Okay, he claimed that T.D. Jakes tried to kiss him, tried to hug him. It was like this really vague, weird thing that he was trying to tell Larry Reid and Larry Reid's his audience about what allegedly happened to him at the age of 19 years old. Okay, where he was a full-fledged adult, and and so forth. Now, this guy Youngblood has a very disturbed background. He was allegedly assaulted by his own father, and his sister also was assaulted. He had a pretty difficult upbringing when it came to those kinds of things, and but then he grew up, and instead of getting some assistance with this stuff, he decided to start assaulting other kids. Okay. So not only once, not only twice, but at least 3 times he has been caught assaulting children and has been at least convicted at least twice, and has been to prison at least twice for assaulting children. Okay. Young children. One of them was like 15, another one was like 16. I mean, these were little kids. Okay. While this 40-plus-year-old man was doing this stuff, right? So, to make a long story short, that's who he is. And Larry Reid was, I'm assuming based off of what Larry Reid had been accused of. I know we all know about the shout out to Daryl Moore, who had been speaking with some men who were accusing Larry Reid of assaulting them as teenagers, right? Not as 19 and 20, but we're talking 15. I thought I turned that off. We're talking 15 and 14-year-olds and so forth and so on. So I'm not really sure, these are kids that allegedly that Larry Reid had been assaulting, right? And Larry Reid, it sounds like he was trying to put a distraction on things, because he's been using the likes of a couple of people. There was another bishop that he was accusing this kind of stuff of in the past couple of years. And then now we've got the situation going on with Youngblood, where he brought Youngblood up here to come against TD Jakes. But not only did he use Youngblood, he also used Manasseh Jordan, which is Bishop Bernard Jordan's son, who happens to be Larry Reid's mentor and pastor and all this other stuff. Larry Reid is allegedly living in Bernard Jordan's mansion down there in Atlanta. There's a lot going on with that situation and a lot of connections with these two. And so, he was using his son as well to try to accuse Jakes of some inappropriate behavior that Manasseh really wasn't very clear about, right? He really wasn't very clear about what exactly it was that was going on. He just kept saying it was a lot of hugging and and so forth. And Larry kept trying to make it and use the actual words that TD Jakes was grooming Manasseh, okay, which would sound like Manasseh would have been a child or someone who's vulnerable in a situation. And when you use the word grooming, right, that's generally what comes to mind. But he wasn't very clear about what this alleged grooming was. And then next thing you know, Manasseh kind of went away. We didn't hear anything else from him. And next thing you know, we've got this Dwayne Youngblood in everybody's face that Larry was trying to force down the throats of the people. And there weren't a lot of people that were very receptive to this because number one, this is TD Jakes. Number two, you're not showing us any real evidence of this stuff. And number three, this guy that you're using is not very credible, considering the fact that he's done some of the most horrific things that you could ever do, which is commit sex crimes against children, right? It's just absolutely ridiculous, to have this type of person and the likes of this person on your show to try to smear the name of another minister. I just find that crazy. So either way, that's who Dwayne Youngblood is. So TD Jakes is not playing around with Dwayne Youngblood. He started reaching out and started sending paperwork. Okay, so we're going to go over this a little bit right now on what exactly is going on with this. Um, so his name is Daryl Janey, which is the attorney here, okay, for TD Jakes. He says, being duly sworn states as follows. I am an attorney admitted to practice in the state of New York and admitted pro hack vice in the matter of November 27, 2024, and a partner at the Janey law firm, PC attorney for plaintiff Thomas Dexter Jakes in the above captioned case. I submit this declaration in support of plaintiff's motion for expedited discovery. Okay. Expedited. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Okay. Because this is where it gets very fucking serious. And this is where the vindication for Daryl Moore comes through. Okay. On November 25th, 2024, plaintiff filed a complaint in this matter alleging that Dwayne Youngblood was liable for libel per se, and all defendants, including John Doe's 1 through 10. Now, notice that, guys, right here, up here, we've got Dwayne Youngblood And we've got John Doe 1 through 10. So there are yet to be even more defendants to be named. Okay. So it says, including John Doe's 1 through 10, were liable for civil conspiracy to commit libel per se. Prior to it, excuse me, prior to instituting this proceeding on November 22nd, 2024, the undersigned contacted the attorney Tyrone Blackburn, right? Attorney Tyrone Blackburn, which, if you guys don't know who that is, they call him an ambulance chaser, okay? He's one of those, he's actually the attorney that was trying to represent the quote unquote victims against the T.I. and Tiny case that was came out a few years ago, okay? But never went anywhere. That case was dismissed. It just kind of just went away. He's that guy. Okay, so just keep that in mind while we're talking about this. Okay. Prior to instituting this proceeding on November 22nd, 2024, the undersigned contacted the attorney Tyrone Blackburn and delivered a letter labeled as appearance letter, preservation notice, and offer of settlement, indicating that he represented Mr. Youngblood by telephone and left a voicemail to return the call. That call was never returned. Okay, so Tyrone Blackburn never sent a call back to this attorney here, Daryl Janey. Okay, after he called him, but yet this guy was calling up there, acting like he was actually calling Jake's church and acting like he was representing this Dwayne Youngblood guy. Okay, and we're going to get into that into these proceedings. Instead, despite my voicemail clearly stating that the undersigned represents Bishop T.D. Jakes on November 25th, 2024, Attorney Blackburn contacted my client's business, i.e., his church, directly, seeking to speak regarding his allegations. Once the complaint was filed by email dated November 25th, 2024, the undersigned contacted Attorney Blackburn again, this time to inquire whether he would accept service on behalf of Mr. Youngblood, whom we presume to be his client. Right. Because I would presume if an attorney is reaching out to a person who I'm claiming to be a victim of, right? And they're questioning them, they're asking them questions, it would seem like this person is representing me, right? Like it would seem like if this person wants to send, some court documents to me, they would get them to that attorney. Since that attorney is my mouthpiece and they're speaking, openly for me, it would seem like, yeah, this would be my attorney, right? I mean, that's what I think normal people would think. So, he said, but no, that's not what happened. He was just trying to get him to speak to him directly about these allegations by calling the church and so forth. And then he said once the complaint was filed, he tried to reach out to him again to find out. And he said he filed once the complaint was filed by email dated November 25th, the undersigned contacted Attorney Blackburn again, this time to inquire whether he would accept service on behalf of Mr. Youngblood, whom he presumed to be his client. In response, we were unceremoniously told to proverbially, quote unquote, pound sand, right? Or kick rocks or hit the dirt or get up out of here, whatever you want to say, right? It's kind of the same thing. And to go ahead and to serve Mr. Youngblood directly. Okay, so this is what this attorney Blackburn, who was supposed to be out here calling himself representing Mr. Youngblood, and who they both said was representing Mr. Youngblood. No, 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 no. He was letting them know, you need to go serve them directly. I ain't got nothing to do with that. By December 4th, 2024, efforts to serve Mr. Youngblood had been unfortunately unsuccessful. Accordingly, in an email exchange with Attorney Blackburn dated December 4th, 2024, we inquired as to whether Attorney Blackburn, on behalf of his client, had changed his position regarding waiver of service. In response, once again, Attorney Blackburn refused to waive service, insisting that plaintiff serve Mr. Youngblood. Attorney Blackburn never stated whether he represents Mr. Youngblood for the purpose of this lawsuit. So it looks like Dwayne Youngblood ain't got no attorney, okay? And I'm going to tell y'all how serious this is for this man, okay? Because they're actually accusing him of extortion in this case. And it is extortion when you're asking or you're demanding someone give you $6 million, and if you don't give them $6 million, they're going to start spilling all your tea. They're going to start lying on you and telling all these lies about you in the press, right? That is basically what him and Larry Reid have said to this man. And so now, TD Jakes and his camp are pissed, okay? And they're like, this is extortion. So in the event that TD Jakes decides to go forward with this, which obviously him and his attorneys are not playing, right? And that they are, and if this is picked up, if this guy who allegedly is still on probation for R-wording children, right? Um, he may very well go back to prison, okay? And remain in prison for an extended period of time, right? You know how they like to put people in jail longer for money crimes than they do for R-word and kids, right? So at this point, it looks like he may be facing a prison time. Now, I know that he wasn't betting on that when he decided to get in bed with Larry Reid, right? Another demonic entity, who has been accused of such things, right? I'm pretty sure Youngblood wasn't betting on, oh boy, I'm not going to have anybody representing me. I'm just going to get this $6 million, and we're going to split this, and then I'm going to live happily ever after and living my best life, and everything is going to be great. I'm pretty sure he had no idea that Jakes would fight him this hard, and that he would now have to come forward with this stuff and actually face these allegations of extortion, right? Just based off of what's happened here. Pretty sure he wasn't betting on that, right? But let's go ahead and keep going here. So subsequently, plaintiff was able to effectuate service on defendant Youngblood on December 9th, 2024, the clerk of court noted that the summons had been returned executed by the plaintiff, and the defendant Youngblood was served late in the evening on December 4th, 2024. Okay, so he had been in fact served at this point, and unfortunately, that that puts him on the hook for this. Defendant Youngblood's answer is due on December 26th, the day after Christmas. Merry Christmas to him for that BS, right? At this point, no attorney has filed a notice of appearance on behalf of Mr. Youngblood, and Mr. Youngblood explicitly rejected an offer to accept more time to respond to the complaint. Okay, so he doesn't want any more time to respond, and he explicitly said no to that. There's no other attorneys, including this fake Blackburn attorney, has not come back up, and acted like that he's, representing him. All of this stuff for YouTube clout and fame. I don't really get it, right? When this shit is real life. Okay, so now let's get into this stuff here. In addition, I make this declaration to transmit to the court the form of draft rule 45 subpoenas, 45 subpoenas plaintiff intends to serve. We've got Exhibit A proposed draft form of Rule 45 subpoena addressed to podcaster known as Larry Reid, okay? And that is in the lawsuit. Exhibit B, a proposed draft form of Rule 45 subpoena addressed to the podcaster's company, Larry Reid Live LLC. So not only is Larry Reid being mentioned and being sued, okay, but his podcast is also being sued. All right. Further, I make this declaration to transmit to this court true and correct transcriptions of the podcast relevant to plaintiff's motion for expedited discovery. True and correct copies of the following documents are attached. Exhibit C is Larry Reid Live interviews Dwayne Youngblood under the name of the transcript for The Abused Becomes the Abuser. Okay. This is a video that Larry did here on YouTube, and they have the transcript of this full video in Exhibit C. This is the reason why I cannot read this whole lawsuit to you guys, because it's everything that was said in those videos as well on these exhibits. It is a very thorough lawsuit. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen a lawsuit this thorough. Not, we've seen the likes of Catherine Brown's lawsuit, which, by the way, y'all need to go and check that out because there's been some updates to that lawsuit, guys. And Catherine is now on the hot seat in that lawsuit. So y'all need to go take that out, take a look at that while y'all still got the AFWs trying to make y'all believe that somehow we're all still being sued by this lady. Y'all need to go take a look at that shit. But anyway, so we've got that interview there. We've got Exhibit D. Larry Reid live reviews and discusses Bishop T.D. Jakes' viral medical crisis video. Okay. Then we had Exhibit E on November 25th. Larry Reid live. Bishop T.D. Jakes goes after Dwayne Youngblood transcript. Okay. So we see Larry trying to get ahead of all this once this stuff started getting filed in court, right? But before that, Larry had a lot of stuff to say about this situation, right? He told them he was going to do a documentary on this. He was begging the people to send him emails and send him information, to include in the podcast. I mean, include in this documentary. It was all kinds of stuff. He kept claiming he had more quote unquote victims and that, they were ready to come forward, and he was about to do a third show and then a fourth, and it would have kept going, is what he was claiming, right? But they stopped him dead in his tracks when they started filing this stuff in court. Then we've got Exhibit F, which was done November 3rd. It's part two of the Larry Reid interviews, Dwayne Youngblood, The Abused Becomes the Abuser. And it says to be provided in a supplemental submission. And they do have that already submitted. I will show you guys that, but I'm not going to read it because it's very, very long. Okay. And it says, I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. And then it's just here where the attorney just signs, and this is his information. Okay. And it is dated December 17th, 2024, which was yesterday. Okay. So this was filed yesterday. Okay. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at. Let me get to another screen for you guys because there's plenty and plenty of parts to this to this um, to this video. I mean, to this lawsuit. Okay. Let's see. So I think I gave you guys that. This was pretty much the meat and potatoes of it. Um, Now, this is the part I really want to share with you guys because this is the part here that can give people like the likes of Daryl Moore some real, real rest, right? And shout out to Daryl. It's like as if God is saying, the fight is over. You don't have to fight anymore. Okay. I will always fight on your behalf. And you don't have to worry. And I want to show you what is going on here because this one is quite interesting with this. So make sure y'all are hitting the like button on the way in. Um, but as you guys know, Daryl Moore, and I'm going to, maybe some of you don't know, so I'm going to share a little bit of background about Daryl Moore's story with you guys. So Daryl Moore was being sued by Larry Reid for some time. And it was just this back and forth thing between some folks in the church sector and some people, on Daryl Moore's camp, some people in Larry Reid's camp, right? And it's just been a back and forth for a few years over that. I think a lot of it kind of got lost in the back and forth. And then, but Daryl kind of stayed steadfast. And shout out to him and the A team, which would be Marcellus McMillan. Let me see your transcript. And there was another lady too. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. But either way, they were all involved and they were constantly bringing up information in regards to Larry Reid's accusers who were accusing him of assault of them as teenagers. Okay. Not grown ass men, but actual teenagers. Okay. And so Larry was, it was so much going on. There was all kinds of stuff that had happened in between that time. We're talking about we had the Vixen coming up and accusing Daryl Moore of M-wording or attempting to M-word Larry Reid. They had all kinds of just smoke and mirrors just happening with this situation. And ultimately speaking, Larry ended up taking Daryl to court, but he never wanted to take his accusers to court, right? He never wanted to go and file in court against them. Even after, not only were the accusers such Levantre, not only was Levantre talking with Daryl, but Levantre went to Tasha K, which has is a much larger audience. He went to Bishop. Remember that bling bling bishop up in New York, the one that robbed himself allegedly from the church, and now he's in jail. That guy. He went to him, which had a much larger audience and so forth. So there was a lot going on with that, and to this day, I still believe Levantre and the other accusers as well. Okay. And I think he's done a really good job and an effective job in, putting his message out there, not being overly emotional, not jumping up and down, not trying to fight and all these other things, but literally calmly and collectively retelling his story. And his story has never changed. It is still the same story. Every time you hear Levantre tell that story, it is the same story. Okay. So here's the thing, and sometimes that's not always common. I want to make that clear too. Sometimes a victim really can't remember everything that happened. They really don't remember all of the details, right? But he was very clear on, you know what he didn't remember. There were times there of things that he didn't quite remember, but bottom line, ultimately, the story itself never has changed. Okay. So, Larry, it seems like Larry again has been trying to kind of separate himself from that as much as possible, even though he really can't because he's admitted to a lot of it. He's admitted that this young man underage was in his bedroom, you know, and he was asking him very inappropriate questions and doing very inappropriate things. Um, without he was saying everything without saying yes, I did this, right? But he was kind of corroborating the stuff that this man was saying. I have past videos on that. You guys can go ahead and check those out. I do have them in a playlist, I believe. If I don't, I'll put them in one. But either way, um, yeah, there was a lot of things that Larry Reid had definitely corroborated when it came to that situation. Um, and so, when it comes to this, it's just so weird that he would be trying to, get under somebody else with something like this, if he's not, guilty of such a thing. But either way, that's the background story of that, and what was going on with that. And now we're here with this situation where he was, trying to get this Dwayne Youngblood to come forward and, act like, he had experienced the same situations that Larry's victims or alleged victims had experienced, and it wasn't anything like that. Okay. But the beauty of all this is that while he was trying to take Daryl Moore to court, he wasn't trying to take any of these victims or any of these accusers to court, right? And he was trying to drag Daryl Moore through the courts and had all his friends laughing and kikiing about it, and they making up songs and who ain't on whose level, y'all niggas ain't on my level, and all this other stuff. Just being just a awful person. Just being a ridiculous individual who, knowing that you're being accused of this, knowing that you're just kind of taunting this in the faces of people, um, and then trying to use money to have a one up against Del Moore, like trying to use this money to force him into some kind of settlement or into some kind of judgment, where he would just finally, be in a position where, he would agree not to do this and agree not to do that and not to speak on Larry's name and different things like this. But again, none of that was stopping the actual victims from going and speaking to anybody else. So if he really wanted to tackle this matter, it seems like he would have came after the person who's claiming they're a victim, right? The same way that TD Jakes is doing that, right? Because why would TD Jakes go after YouTube, right, for allowing, you know, um, Larry Reid and Dwayne Youngblood to have these conversations, or Manasseh to have these conversations and whatever? Why would he go after a third party when he could go after the person or the people that are the actual culprits, right? So shout out to Jakes for doing that and going directly after these people. And not only is he doing that, right? But we're going to read this expedited discovery here. Okay. Plaintiff's brief in support of motion for expedited discovery. Plaintiff Thomas Dexter Jakes, herein plaintiff or Bishop Jakes, by and through his undersigned counsel, files this brief in support of plaintiff's motion for expedited discovery that is limited to two third party subpoenas seeking solely documents. A subpoena to be served on an individual that commands production of documents over a narrow time frame, and B, related a subpoena to be served on aforesaid individual's business that also commands production of documents over a narrow time frame. Plaintiff anticipates that these two third party subpoenas would substantially reveal the identities of John Doe's in this case and thus enable this litigation to proceed more expeditiously and efficiently. For the reasons set forth below and in counsel's affidavit in support of the motion filed concurrently herewithin, the court should grant plaintiff's motion for expedited discovery. And then we've got relevant factual and procedural background. On November 25th, 2024, plaintiff filed a complaint in this matter alleging that Dwayne Youngblood was liable for libel per se, and all defendants, including John Doe's 1 through 10, were liable for civil conspiracy to commit libel per se. Prior to instituting this proceeding on November 22nd, 24, counsel for plaintiff contacted the attorney Tyrone Blackburn, that delivered a letter labeled as appearance letter, preservation notice, and offer of settlement. So this is the letter that Tyrone Blackburn had sent to them, telling them basically that he is representing Youngblood. Okay, and that this is his appearance letter, this is his preservation notice, and this is an offer of settlement. And Steph, I know you're in the comments. If you could let me know if that's exactly what that letter means, that would be great. Thank you. Um, but I'm pretty sure that that's what that means, is that this is kind of letting you know, hey, I'm representing this guy. This is my appearance letter to you. This is my preservation notice to you, and this is my offer of settlement. What are you going to do? Right? I'm an attorney, and this is what I want you to do. And it says indicating that he represented Mr. Youngblood by telephone and left a voicemail to return the call, and that call was never returned. Once the complaint was filed by email dated November 25th, the counsel contacted Attorney Blackburn to inquire whether he would accept this service on behalf of this client. And in response, he was pretty much told to go pound that sand, go kick rocks, get up out of here. You know how he said it, right? By December 4th, 24, efforts to serve Youngblood had been unsuccessful. Accordingly, in an email exchange dated December 4th, 24, with Attorney Blackburn, we inquired as to whether he would have Mr. Blackburn had changed his position regarding this waiver of service. And in response, once again, Blackburn refused to waive service, insisting that the plaintiff serve Mr. Youngblood directly. Attorney Blackburn never stated whether he actually represented Mr. Youngblood for the purpose of this lawsuit. Okay. Subsequently, plaintiff was able to effectuate service on Youngblood on December 9th, 24. The clerk of court noted that the summons had been returned, executed by the plaintiff, and that defendant Youngblood was served late in the evening on December 4th, as we know. Okay. Defendant Youngblood's answer is due on December 26th, and at this point, no attorney has filed a notice of appearance on behalf of defendant Youngblood. And I don't blame them, okay? Because he is in a hell of hot water. At this point, I think Youngblood needs a criminal defense attorney. I don't know if he needs anybody to try to help him out of this civil suit. I don't think that there's any attorney that would be stupid enough to want to take this case, right? Knowing that this man was blatantly lying on this man, knowing that he was blatantly, committing libel against this man. I don't know if any attorney would be willing to take on such a thing. Now, the defense part of it, they might be able to find a way to finagle him less time or probation or whatever. I don't know when it comes to this extortion, right? And I also don't know if just these are just my thoughts on this, and we're actually going to end this because I really, really do want to go. I don't want to be on here really, really late in this, but I am going to go into this a little bit more. But I do want to say that I don't think that Jake's really wants to go after Youngblood as much as he wants to come for Larry, right? Larry is kind of the big fish in this story. He's kind of the bigger fish to fry. He's the one that invited Youngblood to his own show, right? His own platform, where hundreds of thousands of people watch this show, right? Um, and I think that's who they want. That's where the money's at. And that's who they want. And I think that's where this is going to go. So if I was Youngblood, right? Which I wouldn't even want to put myself in those shoes. But if anybody was Youngblood, I think that they would want to start cooperating with the Jake's, with Jake's and his attorneys, right? Maybe start whistleblowing and saying, yeah, this is what they offered me. This is what they told me. They said they'll pay me to do this. They'll do that. I think that's in his best interest at this point because he is definitely going to face some criminal charges when it comes to this, right? A lot of times these kinds of stuff, they start off with civil cases and then they end into criminal cases, right? Where the state will pick it up, where the feds will pick it up, and so forth and so on. Especially since it was $6 million, it's well over $10,000. The feds will definitely pick up something like that. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of months we're looking at Youngblood going to jail. Okay, and then now he's going to have to explain himself out of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he would just finally just say, hey, I'll tell y'all whatever y'all want. And then at that point, Larry might see himself in jail too. Okay. And that's where, this vindication for Daryl Moore comes through as well, right? Where you fought this good fight, where you really got out here and you tried to help these victims, get their voices heard and get their story out. And you face so much ridicule. You face so much backlash for that, right? You've had people trying to put spells on you, trying to do all kinds of stuff, talking about your parents, calling your mother and your father in the middle of the night, all kinds of crazy stuff that people have done, um, just behind trying to protect Larry Reid. And, just for him to turn around and thought he was victorious in your situation, to turn around and to become so haughty, right? See, the Bible said that about the people in the last days, is that they would become so full of haughtiness, right? That they would be so puffed up with pride and better than themselves, right? Lovers of money rather than lovers of God, right? And this is how this man has become, and it's touched the eyeballs of God, and God can smell it to the heavens, and he's sick of such the likes of people like Larry Reid. And so here we are, where vindication is here. See, God says, vengeance is mine. You know, as much as you try to come back and get your vengeance on your own, God will make a way where he will make your enemy your footstool. Okay. Where you don't have to go and fight on behalf, because God is going to fight on behalf of you. And this is a prime example of that. All that stuff he tried to put you through and tried to use money to flash at you to do it, throwing the Vixen and these other people $100 here and $20 there, to get them to make up stories about you and lie about you and different things like this. And now Larry is facing it's like a David and Goliath situation, right? Now Larry is facing that situation, right? Now Larry is facing the monster, right? The one who has more money than him, whose money is longer than his, right? Because let's be real, that's not Larry's money. Larry ain't really got that much money. I know it may look like it, but he ain't built like that. Okay. He's literally living off of Bishop Bernard Jordan. Okay. Allegedly. And there's just no way that he would ever be able to stand to the likes of TD Jakes and his ministry and his attorneys and what he can actually afford. Okay. And so I am very interested in seeing how this all turns out. But I know daggone well that this is justice for the people of the likes of Daryl Moore and those, who have really gone through some crazy things with Larry Reid, and how now, he can no longer do this. But he got so haughty in thinking he can continue to do this to multiple people until he can't anymore. And now, now he's got to face the wrath. So we went through the whole part of how, he got the information and stuff, and everything. But let's go ahead and read a little bit further into this, and then we're going to end this. It said, and I'll read you guys' comments too. Um, so we know that he rejected the offer to respond to the complainant. The plaintiff submits this based on all exchanges with Blackburn, and that the absence of any notice of appearance in this litigation on behalf of defendant Youngblood. Reasonably speaking, we do not have opposing counsel with whom we can confer on the subject of this motion, and we do not anticipate defendant Youngblood to provide information at this juncture that would resolve the subject of this motion. And it's funny because I wonder why Larry Reid's attorneys are not looking to represent Youngblood in this situation. The same attorneys that were fighting so hard against Daryl Moore, right? Um, how come they're not willing to come forward and support Youngblood in this situation? And of course that's a rhetorical question that I think we all know the answer to, right? Is that they know that this is some BS. They know that these two were plotting and lying, right? And that they were making ish up. And why would they put their attorney licenses on the line for this? But either way, um, because Daryl's big bad, not Daryl, Larry's big bad lawyers, they're nowhere to be found, even around Youngblood. Even though Larry Reid was insisting that this man comes on his show and tells this cockamamie story, right? So either way, given the criminal background of defendant Youngblood and on information and belief, the prior background of his co conspirators, we submit that there is a very real danger that the information plaintiff seeks to identify John Doe's and provide a proper factual articulation in an amended complaint will not be preserved long enough to be available through the normal discovery process. Here, plaintiff asserts a prima facie claim for conspiracy to commit defamation. Plaintiff alleges that defendant Youngblood acted with others to publish and broadcast the false claim that Bishop Jakes groomed him and assaulted Youngblood on a podcast reaching over 100,000 persons, knowing that making such false claims on a podcast that reaches such a broad audience of listeners would in fact harm Bishop Jakes. To wit, a person a person believed to be acting in concert with defendant Youngblood, that is, the podcaster identified in the complaint as co-conspirator one, falsely claimed in sum and substance that Bishop Jakes had engaged in settlement discussions with Youngblood regarding his claims, thereby trying to give him a patina of veracity to defend Youngblood's accusations. No such settlement discussion ever took place. The first podcast occurred on October 28th, 24. In an effort to maximize their efforts, they launched a second broadcast on November 3rd, 24, where they attempted to more clearly target the false claim of assault against Bishop Jakes by, in sum and substance, stating that Bishop Jakes restrained defendant Youngblood and forcibly kissed him, as opposed to the first podcast where defendant Youngblood alleges that they embraced at the end of the hours long, wide-ranging conversation about faith and life and parents. Plaintiff alleges that the primary motivation for these acts is money, that love of money. The defendants demanded 6 million, or in an effort or in effect the podcast, two of which had already been produced, would continue. And yet a third podcast that aired mere hours after the complaint in the action was filed on November 25th, 24, the podcaster admitted that he had seen at least some portion of the 6 million extortion letter sent to plaintiff, and further admitted that he knew about the letter. And this was on the Larry Reid live. Bishop T.D. Jakes goes after Dwayne Youngblood. Okay, so he was very aware. Larry Reid had seen the letter. He knew what the letter entailed. He knew it was extortion. Like incriminating himself on these videos. Okay. Moreover, the podcaster states that he knew the letter was being emailed to Bishop Jakes. And this was on November 25th on the Larry Reid Live. Bishop T.D. Jakes goes after Dwayne Youngblood at the 10-minute and 43-second time. Okay. And then there's some footnotes there. In another podcast, the podcaster concedes that he often pays interviewees on his show, and that to the extent they realize financial compensation for their quote unquote grievances, the podcaster expects to be compensated. Moreover, in the earlier November 3rd, 2024 podcast, the podcaster admits that he has knowledge of monies that might be paid to defendant Youngblood as a result of his interviews. More particularly, during the November 3rd podcast, Youngblood is asked by a guest whether anyone has reached out to him to pay him off. The podcaster interposes his own answer to the question by stating, in sum and substance, that he can answer that question for sure, responding in the positive. Okay, and then this was on the part two on November 3rd. Larry Reid Live interviews Dwayne Youngblood. The abused becomes the abuser at the 1 hour, 52-minute, and 31-second time mark. At this point, plaintiff submits that we have a reasonable basis to believe A, the podcaster has knowledge of defendant Youngblood's plan to obtain money by making false statements against plaintiff, including knowledge about the $6 million extortion letter sent to plaintiff, and B, some financial compensation was provided to defendant Youngblood by the podcaster to participate in the podcast interviews where the false claims were launched. Further, on information and belief, plaintiff submits that there was a plan between and among defendant Youngblood and his co-conspirators, including the podcaster, to share in the anticipated extortion payment once made. Moreover, the podcaster was able to realize other channels of financial gain by launching the series of podcasts related to defendant Youngblood's false statements against plaintiff. The November 25th, 24 podcast alone, by the podcaster's own admission on the live show, attracted 5,607 viewers on the YouTube show. At the end of the show, the podcaster requested that those 5,607 persons make a quote unquote donation to his show if they enjoyed the update. A banner appeared on the screen advertising that such donations could be made through a wide number of mechanisms, including PayPal, Venmo, and Zelle. The identity of John Doe's is essentially to efficiently advancing this matter. Is essential to efficiently advancing this matter. Without the requested early discovery described herein, plaintiff submits that he will be unreasonably delayed in amending the complaint to include other culpable parties. B, risks it iterative conferences with the court once those parties are later added during traditional formal discovery, and C, suffers the burden along with the other litigants of potentially avoidable disjointed motions initially challenging the complaint, which in turn will likely disrupt the orderly flow of the case management plan in this case. Here, the plaintiff knows the identity of the podcaster. However, Bishop Jakes requires expedited discovery to further develop the factual matter to properly and appropriately support naming the podcaster and the podcast company as named defendants in this case in accordance with federal rules of civil procedure. Plaintiff anticipates that the requested information in connection with these two subpoenas will also reveal the identity of other John Does who will also be named as a result of the expedited discovery. Okay. And I'm going to get a little bit further into this. I don't want to read this full thing because there really is a lot here. Let's go into the argument part. Good cause exists in this instance. As a threshold matter, plaintiff deserves a prompt adjudication of his claims against the defendants, which necessarily begins with an ability to identify the persons involved with defendant Youngblood in his effort to systematically defame Bishop Jakes in exchange for a payoff and other related financial gains. Plaintiff has already developed some information that would support factual articulation of at least one co-conspirator, but requires additional specific information that would support elaboration of the conspiracy claim, including the mechanics of the conspiratorial conduct, thus bringing to light an even clearer picture of the behavior at issue in this case and the persons involved. This particular need directly supports the administration of justice in this case. Defendant Youngblood is not prejudiced by this expedited discovery, and it does not impose any hardship upon him. This application does not deprive Defendant Youngblood of opportunity to object to the intended Rule 45 subpoenas because naturally he is able to articulate any opposition by responding to this motion. Moreover, the returns from the Rule 45 subpoenas would be made available to Defendant Youngblood in the normal course and as required by FRCP. Further, the Rule 45 subpoenas do not require any production from Defendant Youngblood. So even if Defendant Youngblood is pro se in this action, the application does not request any material from him where he might otherwise be prejudiced in the absence of an attorney. The requests under the anticipated subpoenas are narrowly tailored. First, in terms of Rule 45 subpoena directed to the podcaster, the requests can be grouped analytically in the following manner. Requests 1 through 3, intended to establish actual identification, which is critical for properly identifying the putative defendant. Requests 4 through 5, probative probative of the relationship and interactions between the punitive defendant and defendant Blackburn over an approximately 3-month time frame, incapacitating a period slightly before the first podcast, and then during two of the two podcasts. Requests 6 through 8, information that would likely elaborate upon statements already made by the podcaster, including his knowledge about November 15th extortion letter and his interaction with Attorney Blackburn prior to the letter being sent to plaintiff. Request 9, data and material that would augment plaintiff's current understanding about the punitive defendant's financial motivation to act in furtherance of and in accord with defendant Youngblood's false allegations against Bishop Jakes. Fundamentally, none of the requests 1 through 3 can reasonably pose a burden to the putative defendant. Providing your actual legal name and address is something most persons engage in every day across contexts. With respect to the remaining requests, the putative defendant opened the proverbial door on the inquiries at minimum by and through his November 25th podcast that took place specifically in response to the filing of this lawsuit. Again, during the podcast, the putative defendant described having knowledge of the extortion letter, admitted to having seen at least some aspects of the letter, and strongly alluded to knowing what the extortion letter stated before it was sent to the plaintiff. Most third parties object to Rule 45 subpoenas because they do not want to be bothered with litigation that does not involve them. However, here, the putative defendant specifically, intentionally, and deliberately interposed himself in matters of this lawsuit by his own provocative statements that raise substantive questions, substantive questions about his role and related legal liability as a participant in the conspiracy, all on a public broadcast and in full face of and with an understanding that the lawsuit had been filed. The second Rule 45 subpoena on the company in similar scope, uh, um, the time frames for requested information are narrow. The requests largely mimic those in Rule 45 subpoena and are intended to avoid a situation where the podcaster claims not to have requested documents, such as emails or texts that are otherwise maintained on corporate devices or systems. We submit that the reasons for the subpoenas described above on balance favor the court granting the motion and permitting expedited discovery as described here. Again, the scope of the anticipated discovery is narrow, and the purpose is clear, effectuating a process through which the co-conspirators in this matter can be quickly identified and the complaint can be expeditiously amended so as to include those persons along with a proper and appropriate description of their role in this conspiracy. Okay, so this was dated December 17th, 2024. So basically, y'all, TD Jakes lawyers are not playing when it comes to Larry Reid and when it comes to Dwayne Youngblood, and that they are looking to move quickly with this situation. They want expedited discovery. There is no um, mediation. They don't want to have no conversation with you. They don't want to sit down and settle and talk and you go your way, I go my way, don't say my name no more. You don't they don't want that. Okay, what Larry Reid tried to present to Daryl Moore, that's not what's going on here. Okay, no, 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 sir. We want all that stuff. So all them people's podcasts that Larry Reid went to, still pushing this story, still trying to force people to believe that this story is true. Okay, honey, those people want to see. Okay, they want to know exactly who those people are, what their names are. So unfortunately, some of y'all who have been in bed with Larry Reid all this time, trying to suck his dick, trying to kiss his ass, trying to be his mans in them, y'all got a problem. Y'all have a huge problem right now. And you are about to be named in this lawsuit along with them because they have a slot for every single one of you. There is slots 1 through 10 named Jane Doe waiting for you. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It is 9:05, so I am going to read y'all comments real quick and then I am going to get out of here. Definitely do appreciate everybody for being in the building. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this too. And shout out to all 81 of y'all that are in the clouds. Make sure y'all are hitting the like button on the way out, okay? And I did say hi to you. Said Larry Reid got backups. His words about how he can handle lawsuits. Personally, I think Bishop Jakes is about to rip Larry Reid a new one. 100%. I totally, totally agree. This is one that, and like I said, I'm not sure what he was thinking, right? I mean, like I said, when that puffed up with pride and you get real haughty and you start thinking that you above God, right? When you be getting away with so much and that you still think that you're above, God will bring you down the notch. He'll bring you a notch down or two and help you remind you, of who the Most High is. And, he'll allow you to be haughty because, the Bible says in the last days, there will be men that'll be haughty and puffed up with pride. And I think that's exactly what's going on in this particular situation with Larry. And he just got too big for his britches and thought that he could really get away with this. But that's unfortunate for him. And at this point, I don't think he has a leg to stand on. And I think TD Jakes is going to wring his neck through the mud out here, child. I really do. I think he's going to kick his ass. That's what I think is going to happen. You said just stopping through the flavor of word of everybody on my way to church to serve people, get food away is blessed to see people eat. That is a blessing, Mikey. And shout out to you for that. May the Lord protect you over that because that's something I love to do as well. You said, I wonder if some of the content creators, etc., who are not concerned with the accuracy of their stories are betting on the targets just standing down and not fighting back. I'm wondering that too. I'm wondering that too. Or if they're just going to finally, they can just walk away in the sunset and hopefully they won't be found. This discovery is going to be a Mickey Ficky. And like I said, I'm not sure how many of these people who have been, kissing Larry Reid's ass for the past couple of years are about to go down with him. But shout out to Daryl Moore and his vindication for that. You said, I think they are banking on the targets fearing any kind of action on their part will make them look like they are trying to silence people and that they have something to hide. Yeah, yeah. You said, hey, Teresa, I appreciate you being in the building. You said, not Tyrone Blackburn, child. You said anytime you see a suspicious, salacious accusation, usually regarding SA against a black celebrity, you'll find Tyrone Blackburn. Don't make no sense. But suddenly he don't want nothing to do with any of this, honey. You said that's a highly unethical and prohibited by rules of profession responsibility. An attorney can't contact someone you know is represented by counsel. Exactly. But that's what Blackburn decided to do, even though he was aware that he has a full-on fledged attorney. He decided to send him a letter to his church. Child, it don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. He said that's serious for Blackburn too. He can't deny he's not involved somehow. Exactly. And it makes you wonder if he was intending to get some of that 6 million, right? And then if say Jakes did decide to just roll over and give him that $6 million, they would be coming back for some more. They would definitely find a reason to be coming back for some more. Hey Divine, appreciate you being in the building. You said everyone in the clouds will definitely catch the replay. Thank you, Divine. I appreciate you coming through. You said, including breaking the culture, she was all in that mix. Absolutely. Absolutely. And those that know Andrea Garrison, she was definitely all in the mix with Larry Reid and fighting on his behalf. This is the reason why she's been in our sector fighting with Let Me See Your Transcript, is on behalf of Larry Reid. But now all of that's about to come out. It just is what it is. You said 2024 has been a hell of a year, and y'all better buckle up for 2025 because it's about to get worse, child. You say, yes, I think you are correct from what I see. Okay, okay, about what I was talking about. Okay, thank you. Hey, Marcella, appreciate you being in the building. You said, in my opinion, Jay-Z was a dealer of drugs to start, was always hurting others for the money. Now on a grander scale, absolutely. You said Rico gonna take time, but the lights on, folks. Let your eyes see and your ears hear. Absolutely. That girl says just got here. So what was supposed to be the huge mistake that Jay-Z's attorney made, or is this clickbait? You're welcome to go back and listen to what I said, and then you'll see it wasn't clickbait. But I do appreciate all of you for being in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way out. And guys, I will talk to each and every one of you later. I appreciate y'all for coming out today. And peace, guys. Thank y'all again for watching.